I shouldn't have opened that drawer, but something told me to. Emily stood frozen, her hand trembling as she stared at the photograph clutched between her fingers. It was old, discolored around the edges, but unmistakable. It was her. Her, wrapped in a pink blanket, a hospital wristband barely clinging to her tiny hand. But that wasn't the part that stole her breath. It was who was holding her in the photo. Mr. David Carter. Her cold, distant billionaire boss. The man who never smiled. The man who barely knew her name. The man who, as far as she was concerned, had no connection to her whatsoever. And yet, there he was, young and proud, holding a newborn. Holding her. Emily never expected her life to become a mystery novel. At 22, she worked nights as a cleaner in a towering glass building that reached into the New York skyline like a polished blade. The world inside it was cold, white, and sterile. Silent elevators. Marble floors. Coffee machines that cost more than her rent. Her shift began when the world slept. Each night, she'd clean floor by floor, offices filled with people whose names she didn't know, whose lives she never touched. Except one. The top floor. David Carter's office. Emily had never seen him up close. Rumor had it he was cold, calculating, and utterly brilliant. A man forged from marble and ambition. The CEO of Carter Global Holdings. He was everywhere, in magazines, on TV, speaking at tech summits. But in his office? Never. He always left before she arrived. Until that night. Emily had just finished vacuuming the hallway when the office door creaked open. Light spilled out. Her heart stopped. There he was. David Carter. 6 foot something, dressed in a black suit that looked hand-stitched to his frame. He didn't notice her at first, too lost in whatever storm lived behind those sharp eyes. Then he turned. "Oh, you're the cleaner?" he said flatly. "Yes, sir," she stammered. He paused for a moment, then nodded curtly and walked out, murmuring something about a meeting in 30 minutes. She didn't know why she watched him walk down the hall like her whole world had shifted slightly. But it had. She could feel it. And then curiosity. The kind you can't silence. He never locked his drawers. Never. She didn't mean to snoop, at least that's what she told herself. She just wanted to dust inside. Just once. The drawer glided open with a soft click. Pens. A few documents. A Bible. And then at the bottom, a brown envelope. Inside it, photos. She flipped through them quickly until one stopped her cold. A photo of a baby. Her. She knew it was her. Her mother had a copy. But in this one, the angle was different. It was clearer. Her heart slammed against her ribs. And beside her in the picture, David Carter. Holding her. Smiling. Proud. Like a father. But that wasn't possible. Right? Emily didn't sleep that night. The photograph was etched into her mind. She pulled out her own copy from the small wooden box she kept beside her mattress. Same baby. Same blanket. Different angle. But David Carter had never been in her life. Her mother, Linda Carter, raised her alone. Linda had always told her that her father left before she was born. No name. No explanation. And now this? The next night, she returned to the office with a plan. She searched the drawers more thoroughly. Found a box of old newspaper clippings. One headline caught her eye. Tech mogul's fiancé disappears with unborn child. 2002. Her breath caught. Her mother's face, in black and white. Everything she knew was a lie. Linda Carter had been engaged to David Carter. And she had vanished. With her unborn child. With her. Emily spent the next week torn between confronting her mother and staying silent. But her heart couldn't hold it in anymore. She visited her mother one Sunday afternoon. They sat on the porch, iced tea sweating in their hands. "Mom," she said quietly, "why didn't you ever tell me about David Carter?" Her mother's glass slipped, crashing to the floor. Linda broke down. She told her everything. How she and David had been deeply in love in college. How he changed when the business took off, cold, manipulative, obsessed with success. How one night they fought and she left, pregnant and afraid. He didn't want a child, Linda said. He wanted control. So she disappeared. Changed her name. moved across the country, raised Emily in quiet safety. "I did it to protect you," she whispered. Emily didn't know what to say. Her mother's pain was real, but so was her own confusion. Why did David keep the photo? Why had he never come looking? Or had he? She didn't make an appointment. She walked into his office unannounced, photo in hand. He looked up, startled. "It's you," he said softly, not as a question, as a truth. "You knew?" she asked, voice shaking. "I wasn't sure. But the first time I saw you, something clicked." He explained how he had searched for years, hired detectives, paid off newspapers to keep the story quiet. But Linda was gone, and when he finally gave up, he built walls. Walls that never came down. "I didn't know she had a daughter until 2 years ago," he said. "When I found the photo, I knew. But by then, I didn't know how to approach you. I thought you'd hate me." She didn't know whether to scream or cry. "Do you want a relationship?" she asked. "I want the chance to try," he replied, voice cracking. It wasn't easy. Trust takes time. Emily didn't move into a mansion. She didn't become a socialite. She stayed in her neighborhood, kept her job, and started therapy. But David came to her. Slowly. Gently. Dinners. Walks. Talks. He didn't try to buy her. He just listened. He even apologized to Linda. And for the first time, Linda and David sat in the same room without anger. Just sadness and healing. On Emily's 23rd birthday, David handed her a wrapped box. Inside, a journal. Linda's journal. He had found it tucked in an old storage unit, never opened. Inside were entries about Emily's birth. Her first words. Her laugh. How Linda would stare at her and forget how broken the world was. Emily cried for hours. And for the first time, felt whole. Moral of the story. Sometimes the people we think abandoned us were just broken themselves, running from pain, regret, or fear. The truth may hurt, but it also has the power to heal. When we choose to face it, we open the door to forgiveness, connection, and redemption. No matter how lost your story seems, love can still find its way back. And sometimes what feels like an ending is just the beginning of something deeper.